Pamela Twining, everybody. You know, I had a run-in with this thing called ketamine recently that reminded me a lot of your second poem. just thought I'd put that out there. How you guys feeling? You feeling good? You feel you don't sound like you're feeling good. You sound like you're feeling terrible. Are you guys excited for the feature? Yeah? Am I hearing a crowd out there? I can't tell. All right, there it is. Give it up for Gary Siegel.
Warming him up for later. All right, goodness. Ready to roll. Okay. Thanks everybody for coming out. We're gonna have a good night. And maybe we'll just put a timing device out just so I know where I'm at. Still not real good at these things. Okay. So this is a new book. And this is one of the very first pages in the book. And it sits on the page and it says above, for Francine. That's the dedication. And basically, each chapter in the book is sort of a little journey or like a little featured reading, arranged poetry. So I'm going to read you the first one for starters, and then we'll take a sprinkling of some other stuff. All right, it's a little dark here. Resonance. Waves go out from the impact of a water drop. I watch the silent pulsing as the circles get larger and larger. I sit now in the presence of a stone. Its hulking size leaves me mouse-like. It is as if the space around it is charged and I sitting within this field. This, all of it, is beautiful medicine. And I drift slowly, gazing at the growth on the surface of this monument. And all these things, lichen and moss, drifting droplets of water, hardy and slow-growing life, they are a part of the stone and its aura. And I and my kayak chance to fall within it, chance to float and to drift, mind released, shifting now down to slow. And this medicine, it is within the great stone, it is within the field about it. It is very old and it moves slowly. It is not eternal, but it moves through time, long and slow. This one is called Radiance. Today, I learned what radiance is. Sun taking all day to break through those clouds. I think there was a plan. The contrast so stunning, it woke us humans up from our encrusted shells. And this wasn't just stop complaining nice. This was unmistakably lit. There was not one mediocre color anywhere, lending a creeping osmosis of beauty, beauty of soft winds upon skin, beauty of a glow upon the land, beauty of glint and foam. The sky poured out its radiance, the waters were caressed, the breezes sang the tune, and the tall grasses swayed and smiled. Their seed heads shone with such a light, but only if you stood in the right place. Each move you make bringing different angles of relationship to that softly sparkling sun, an archetype stripped of its divinity by those blind. You must come with me the next time such beauty bursts forth. You must open your soul. One will not die without doing this. One will simply walk with a limp. Cold river. It's cold and bright this daybreak morn. The sun lights up everything, and the wind sews it together. Ice lies distributed across water and land, melting and freezing, meeting everywhere in every way, making sound, making color, forming crystals and structure that lie in the hollows of sand, that are sheathed around twigs, that are half melted, that have refrozen, that bring infinite variety and infinite delight. The impulse is to slow down and soak in this place, cold though it may be. And after a while, the song here begins to make itself known. It is not the kind you're used to, not something you can hear. Your cochlea lies clueless. Nonetheless, you feel this song, and it is so personal, you cannot bear it. I cannot bear it. And I know this song is just for me. The song that emerges from the land and the waters and all of the play of the light and the sound, it's as if a giant bow was drawn across this moment, producing vibration that is just of this time, just of this place, and just of my meeting unto it. Tears and beauty, wonder and gratitude, and a song for the soul once again. Maybe a little more light. A little more light.
Turn all the lights off.
Or maybe I have to move. Okay. All right. The hollow of a flute. My flute is hollow and wooden. Japanese style, it is blown into up and down. I like to look down into it. It is empty, but blown into, it makes a sound. Blowing into the hollow, I make one note and hold it, the note of the hollow wood. One note, I empty myself, looking down. Empty flute, empty note, empty self. Holding there, empty. Can I remain? Like a Dresden garden. Desolation has a friend, it seems. Old, rusting, rotted ships and the heavy machinery that were operating long ago are launching now wildflowers, birches, all manner of dense shrubbery, soaking up the sun and the waters and incorporating their surround. What a strange glory it is, not quite beautiful, but oddly affirming, as life continues to beget life, however it can, in rust, in splinters, and in ghosts. And that's right here in the Rondout is that scene with the old ships. With a touch of sad. I am a ghost. I walk the long path. My years will number in the many. I will not know the joys and sorrow that walk with all of you in your days, like the riptides, like the horse latitudes, like great pinnacles and lowly sewer grates. Being one not born, I am not subject to your God's mass eviction from that primeval garden. No, from the beginning I was averse to the chase of a fractured Eden's prizes scattered about this world. I turned away from all that, and so was not born, but entered through the pale door, and have walked unseen here, free of desire and empty of love. It has been noted that such a being is an opposite balance to that of my cousin, the hungry ghost, an ironic cosmic equilibrium, if there ever was one. I care not for symmetries, however. My purpose here is less one of passions and more the contrary, to walk this place with no need. Instead, I watch chaos noble and beautiful instincts spun and tangled till the whole anthill of your climb here shudders. And while the gods wait to see if your end be destruction or narrow escape, I stand quietly in another way. I see with burning eyes, silent tongue. And when will you see? And what will it be? After all of this, I continue to await you. A face in the Exodus. I am 5 years old. I'm very scared. My family left our house. We've been on boats with mean people. I want to go home. Mama tells me we can't. There are too many people, too much noise, and too much talking. I want to go home. My sister hurt her knee. A man fell off the boat. I'm hungry. People are talking to us. They have food for us. I'm scared. Someone's putting a metal blanket around me. It is very warm. It is magic. I want to be warm. I want to go home. That's a hard one. 7 visions. Torn out by its roots, the tree laughs screaming. Every day looking around, I laugh screaming too. Funhouse, mirror mind, laugh and scream, lacerate the tongue, bleed. How do we get out? Triangle glass prism surgically riveted to head. 7 visions of everything, every time. Quick, pick a color. Oh, not the one I picked. Fuck you. Argue about everything forever. Beautiful statues burn strangely. We are warmed by the light of destruction. Colors char my mind. Screaming mimes in the schools, with tenure, with precision, on a mission. It is only the zealots who know what they want. The rest of you are weak and they will eat you. Stumbling forward with broken limbs, who will sing to you now? Come to me. I offer shelter with diseased embrace. And the trees laugh screaming. It is the sap and the green and the sky. It is the blood and the mind. Hold fast the life vest. Squeeze tight the eyes. Quiet. They will hear you. In this book, any poem that ends like a third of the page or less, I have a little drawn, like a little line drawing of a leaf or something, or a little flower. This one I have a little drawing of poison ivy. So that poem there. Yes, thank you. Sphinx. I have the blood of a beaver, an owl, and a bear in me. Now I roam the desolate halls of human habitation. Somehow I am stuck here. The humans are in another part of this place. I am without skin to taste. I am without wind to float on. I am without plants to light upon. I am without smells to know where I am and where to go. I think this is death. Death without the whole world to join my body to, without the decaying things on the ground and their smells, without the cycles of light and dark that make sense, without flying birds and leaping fish, yes, but what a strange place to fade in. Still, I know how to fade from life. I know how to die, just like I know how to follow the heat of warm bodies. I, mosquito, will be all of what I ever am as I go. I have the blood of a badger in me. I have tasted life in many flavors. Sometimes I think there's a little of each blood I have taken still within my body, and I am them all. I am a sphinx, and I cry out with howls, chirps, and hisses. I sit in the corner of this strange white place, knowing I'm all these things. I fade, knowing I'm all these things. I fade, being slowly less and less, but I know all of what I have taken. That is my beauty and my secret. a life well lived and now fading softly, now quietly ceasing. And that one was when one day I noticed this mosquito in the basement, and like no one was at that point was really ever going down there. So I was like, it's not going to get any food, it's not going to get out, and it's going to slowly die. I'm just wondering, what is that like for that mosquito, kind of thing. All right, and that was the end of the first chapter. We can go. This is the backdrop for this poem. It doesn't have a chapter. And basically, was in Woodstock at a yoga studio, and someone said the prayer, "May all beings be without suffering." And I was just thinking about how much fucking suffering there is. And with this backdrop in mind, I wrote this poem. May all beings be without suffering. Maybe it's a prayer. May all beings be without suffering. May this strange spinning globe traveling through clouds of infinity reduce the burden of suffering inflicted upon its beings by some of them upon all of them. May other places and other ways, far, far flung and with numbers unknown, may these other places be not like this one. May the beings speaking and croaking and fluttering in other tongues be free from unnecessary suffering. May our example be the exception, and may these numberless other places everywhere know peace. Okay, this was the birth of this poem. It was a late winter day. It was cold. I was wandering around. Everything was kind of dead. And I come upon this dead tree, standing dead, dried up. And I just had this moment of like, shit, I'm going to be like that, right? Like mortality somehow like really got in, And in that moment, and I just took a picture of it. That's what I was feeling. And then I wrote the poem about it. Impermanence. Impermanence, it is all around us. It is our fate. It is in no hurry. It has a million ways to get to its conclusion. And its slow march has more certainty than anything I know. Youth and newness encourage me to think it isn't relevant, but of course it is simply having its way with a patient progression. Old and tired makes me feel it inevitable, but it may yet be down the road a piece. A cold, windy pre-spring dusk sings to me of its essence. I feel it all around me, not threatening, not stalking. Simply, it is the note that is playing in the wind. It is the shade of color made up of all in this landscape put together. It is a blend that my soul recognizes. A song arises, a quiet one, and then the slithering emergence of a gut knowing, of a certainty of the exit. It's coming. Impermanence, like the ticking of a clock, it is that regular, but less metronomic. Life, such as it is, proceeds. Understanding of the end, elusive, avoided, slips in. And how shall we hold that? Restoration. What once was an old chisel laying rusted and chipped in the shed was taken lovingly and polished, rust rubbed off, oil rubbed in, edge hammered carefully till it was brought to a finest edge. Whoa. Next, it was brought to the lab where a laser itself heated that edge and microscopes watched eminently while the sharpness was brought to molecular scale perfection. Is that possible? Once it cooled down, there was a quiet hush. This is Grandpa's treasure tool, an extension of himself, and now, if he were here, he would be pleased, moved. And certainly, as I surveyed that shed and its newly restored inhabitant, I could say with assurance just which one was the sharpest tool in the shed. Okay. I had 3 poems that are together, and it came from when I heard that there's a Buddhist teacher, Joan Halifax, and she was living in a really simple cabin in a little enclave on a mountain out west, and sort of like minimal possessions, living the Buddhist ideal, and it burned down. I think it was an electric fire or something. And I was just thinking of standing there in the desolation of the few things you have are just reduced to ash. But you're Buddhist and you're not supposed to be attached to anything. Like what would that be like, What would that be like? So the first poem is sort of directly addressing that, and then the second and third poem are addressing it from different perspectives. First one, Gone. Smoke rises to the sky in soft, radiating shapes that disperse into nothingness. A meditation, if you will, on all of our fates. We tried bringing civilization to a wild place in reverence. We tried this. But electric wires are not wild, nor without error. And one deeply dedicated to letting go must now do so with the most basic of things: safety, shelter, warmth, respite. Emotions will come as artifacts of a life lie all about in ashes and ruin, and the deep well of the Dharma calls to us in a resounding silence. And the forest remains the same, and the mountain stands impassive, the sky a glorious destination, and life, for a while longer, seeks the adventure of a dawning day. Okay? So now we're going to do that from another perspective. No crumbs today. These walkers, we have lived among them well enough. Their presence here was always a bit odd, but they never tried to eat us. After a time, as they built their strange lodges, we began to creep up. They had food, easy food, and made strange noises. After a time, we became used to their movements, used to their smells, and we knew when to come close and when to flee for the trees. Then came the big burn, everything consumed, and time to get away. We had been lulled, they were not safe. I will stay, I swear, away. Shaking, we watch from the trees. We keep them small with being away. The earth is torn and charred. The walkers smell differently now, and we do not know them. After some days, they begin to move again like the ones we knew. And the earth is the earth. I see a crumb, and some of us have gotten one. I will creep a little closer. And the last one is another perspective again. And it's called In the Cradle of Silence. I burn silently as I float through the nothingness. I live my purpose, consuming myself and radiating out far to the ends of this place. It is silent here, and I myself have come into being in the cradle of silence. I lie within it, bringing light. I see about me mostly emptiness, a beauty beyond words. I see, too, these little marbles. They tug at my edges with their little gravities, and my waves of light bring them into glow. And the one with the oceans, it has a mountain on it, and now on that mountain, it is like me, a little flare making for just a moment a flashing of light, and it is gone. Okay, moving right along. Proffer. Perhaps the joy of being in nature has something to do with losing the exclusivity of being human. And further, losing also the sense of separateness from everything around you. Me comes the price. The late day is rich in color, spread about the sky, hills, and treetops. The Tao that can be known is not the Tao. The trees with their crowns lit by setting sun are not the Tao. The birds swarming in congregation, neither are they the Tao, but the swarm itself a little closer. The sumptuous changing colors dappled and spreading across the sky, changing at every glance, neither are they the Tao, but having no substance, they lie a shade closer. It's an old story. You give yourself up for a taste of something greater. Those of us who flock, to proffer a term, drawn over and over to the portal that is this world, cultivate an opening, a deepening, a knowing. We see in the forms of this world and its colors and shapes things knowable in no other way. And the Tao, in ever more subtle gradations of recognition, organizes for us a vision in which the things of this world are mere expressions of more fundamental states of being. And what is left? Just the continuing opening of a depth of vision, and the clouds, and the sky, and the soul, and your eyes. I'm going to have you switch this while I'm in the middle of the poem. I'll tap. Screaming Zealot. And this is based, just quickly, on Pastor Kevin Swanson, who got a lot of attention because he was walking around while he was preaching, screaming and screaming that all gay people must be rounded up by the government and killed. He's a preacher. And it was just, so I got a poem about him. And it was sort of like, how would you ever heal this? Screaming Zealot, hush yourself. Your passion is on display. Your screaming, sweating cries ring out. You are a spectacle to behold. Quoting scripture in verse, yet it is only your anguish that comes across. I hear no wisdom. I hear no beauty, just tortured hate, desperation. Your trip with God does not apply to me. You are a hungry ghost of the world of speaking. Your word cries are unending, and they do not fulfill you. Calm down. The world may be burning. It does not benefit by your pouring of gasoline upon it. Instead, do this. Lay yourself down in an ancient sarcophagus. Sink down to the bottom of the ocean. Breathe there slowly, so slowly that you live for 1,000 years. 1,000 years in the cold, deep Amiens in the silent depths of a bottomless sea. Lie entombed, unmoving, your infinitesimal breath, the sole companion and unwavering rhythm. In time, we will retrieve you. You will awake to a land you have never known. You will gaze upon this new world from the depths of your time-burnished silence. The wind will blow. We will all greet you. Okay. We're getting to the end. Getting to the end. What's that? This is sort of the closing poem of the book, and then there's an epilogue poem. I'm going to read those two. Relations. A day marks the time in the flow of our lives, and each day will end. In engaging doing, we move through tasks and interactions, which becomes like the strokes of a paddle, moving us through the river of time, reaching the shore the next day. In engaging the natural landscape, sitting beside a simple vista, watching the movement of clouds, listening to the ebbs and flows of the surround, we meet time through our attention on how things move us, and we move through the river by merging with it for a while and allowing it to slip by us unnoticed. In engaging the moment, it is possible to slip behind the movement of minutes, to slip softly into the river of time itself, sneaking into Eden. Visiting an awareness not punctuated by seconds, that metronomic illusion, that hickory ruler that chases us. When we do this, the day runs long and time is but a wisp. Then the waters of infinity almost reveal themselves, that and our swim within them. Infinity all around us, yes, and our relations to it precipitate the world. And the closer. Bowl of clay. I have to see this. The bowl is always full. Full does not mean overflowing. Full does mean enough. The bowl has enough. Some rice falls out. No sad eyes. This is your bowl. One content replaces another. Eat. The bowl is always enough. Life is full if you will see it. Pick up your spoon. Laughter brings joy, but sorrow too brings us together. Loss bears the soul to the self. Surprise makes us let go. Disappointment is water in the garden of strength and unity. What a bowl this is you carry. This empty bowl is the vault of the world. The winds bring music, the clouds rain, the earth food. Fullness characterizes the changing states of your bowl. Cup your hands, close your eyes. Now open. Proceed.
Keep it going for Gary Siegel. Yeah.